Hey, everybody. Thanks for hopping on tonight. As I said before some of you jumped on, the plan is this is much less formal of a discussion than some of our other presentations were back in the lead up to the season. The goal here is just to share some plays and talk through them and get some feedback and do stuff like that. So once we get through the first couple of people who have plays, if you got a play you want to share, let us know. We'll make you co-host. You can throw the play up. We'll go from there. So I'm going to start. Let me share my screen here. I guess I should probably mute this sound because I don't want to hear it. This particular play, nope, that was the wrong thing to click. And where did it even go? Damn it. You guys looking at Exos?
I see your spreadsheet is what I see right now.
All right, well, ignore that. Let me find Exos. How about now? We good?
No, there we go.
Okay. So this particular play, it's 1st and 10. It's not a particularly critical play, but you're going to see the quarterback is going to roll. And I recognize we're going to talk about this both from an 8 official and a 7 official situation. The quarterback here is going to have a lot of time in the pocket, clean pocket, but then he's going to end up getting flushed and roll to the left, which for eight of us is the center judge's side. Close pass fumble, ball comes out, 65 touches it, ball goes out of bounds. So all that stuff happens fairly quickly. I am not making a pass fumble decision because that's not my call to make. That belongs to the center judge here. But I look back for some help and I get kind of a look like I'm not real sure what I want to do with this play from him. So I drop a beanbag just so we have a reference point in case we rule fumble. I did not rule fumble on this play. We end up getting together. We talk about it. I tell him, hey, is this a pass or fumble? Because if it's a pass, I'm going to throw a flag on somebody. And if it's a fumble, then we need that spot. As you can see, 65 really wants to catch that ball. So I am looking for opinions from line of scrimmage guys, if there are any on the call, as to what they would do in this situation, because I've heard from some people that it was a good idea to throw the beanbag. I've heard from some people that they would not have thrown the beanbag because it looks like I'm ruling fumble. So I'm interested in feedback on this.
Nick, I think beanbag is a good idea on this. I mean, especially if with it going out of bounds, because we're going to need that. We're going to need that spot if we rule fumble. And if it's incomplete, we know we're going back to the previous spot. So I would not think of this as you ruling fumble or not, because we would know that the referee's ruling forward, pass, or fumble. So but I do think that spot's important because if the referee does say, yeah, that's a fumble, then we're kind of lost as to where, he fumbled it at if we don't have that beanbag.
Other thoughts on that?
As a referee, I never mind having a beanbag as a reference in there. When it comes to pass fumble, I've typically told my people that I will either give you a dumbfounded look because I have no idea what's going on because I didn't see it, which I hope is not the case. A definitive beanbag of my own and or an incomplete pass. So if you didn't see any of those things, I appreciate having the beanbag down so we have a point of reference. I'd rather have that than be guessing. So at least that's my 2 cents.
Well, aside from the fact that I missed the spot of the fumble by a yard or two, I wasn't real sure. I wasn't really sure how to proceed. You're kind of looking back because I don't want to have it. First of all, I'm not really supposed to have an opinion on a pass fumble. And as you can see, this is a right-handed quarterback, and I really had no idea how the ball came out. I just knew that I was waiting on somebody else to give me information so I could do something. And that's before it potentially even gets kicked upstairs. So.
I mean, I don't think there's an issue with beanbag, but there's also not an issue with dropping a flag. If you drop the flag and they come out and they say this is a fumble, there's, the referee says this was a fumble, there's no foul on the play for the touching,
Sure.
right? I mean, that's
I think
But-
I think I was inclined to not do that because I figured since I didn't get an incomplete pass signal, it was most likely going to be a fumble. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So,
Yeah.
that's
I think from that standpoint, if you didn't hear a whistle and a killing and you're like, okay, this is probably a fumble, that's where I think the beanbag is probably a good thing.
I certainly
It
wasn't. gonna
looks
throw
like a
both thi-
fumble to me.
Certainly wasn't going to throw both things.
No,
right. Yeah.
Either
I
this,
will
it's like
say-
either this is a thing or that's a thing.
I will say mechanically, I have learned as a center judge. I've worked more games center judge recently. Stop and let the quarterback cross your face and don't chase after him. And hopefully they could be still and have a better ruling on this. I think that might help if they're stationary and see that, so then they can be definitive and throw in the beanbag or whistling the play dead. It could help you as well.
Sure.
I think too, from a referee center judge perspective, I think this catches both off guard because we get too focused on our keys. Referee stays on the right side, doesn't transition away from it fast enough, in my opinion. I mean, once the quarterback starts to go left, there's nothing for us to be watching. We need to be coming over to help out with this. And so the referee should have an opinion if he didn't. And the center judge needs to clear that block, the left side, because that caught my attention. I was like, is that a hold? Is that not a hold? And then see the action. So it doesn't look like we had a foul for a hold on this. So I'm guessing that's where your center judge was. But as a referee, I would expect to be off of my tackle running back over there and starting to come over and see this. Because at that time, that those two people can't make a foul big enough for me to want to throw a flag.
Sure.
So if you stop right now, I'm already off of my people, and that's the guy that ends up coming in to make the play anyway. So I should have been following that whole thing and should have been able to definitively give you here's my beanbag.
Well, let me ask you this, Brian, as a referee do you work a lot of 8 or do you guys work 7 in your league or what?
We work 8-man all the time.
Are you going to make, even in this particular play configuration, the way this developed, would this be your pass fumble decision to make, or would you expect your center judge to take it?
I'm going to be making some decision, yes. I don't expect my center judge to be used to making that decision, but typically we make it together. So we've had a similar play, was right between both of us. We both had a beanbag out. So one or the other, it defaults to me in most cases. Like if I have an opinion and he disagrees, he's going to let it roll, and then we'll have a discussion.
Sure. Okay. Good talk here. I appreciate that. Brian, why don't you take a play while I kick up my next one?
Sure. We'll switch to a non-referee discussion then. And I forgot to click it because I didn't read Amy's thing and say, you know what, I can also forget things about first time. All right. Okay, so these are straight graded from our people. We have this was graded by John Masterson, if anyone knows him. This is our defensive hold possibilities. We talk a lot about it in our league, especially as people are transitioning from JUCO and NAIA into the MIAA. We talk about making it big, and we also talk about two-step process, especially when it comes to defensive holding. So as you watch this, part of this needs to be in your head. Is this defensive holding? Yes. Is this at the right time? I'll run it through, and from this point, and you can kind of talk through it at that point. So if it's jumpy, I apologize. It does help if people mute your videos from this piece, but as you watch that guy at the top, he gets held and then the catch gets made on the other side. The grading at this point, and I'll freeze it there. It's tight enough that if you're not working a two-step process in this, it's very easy to get fooled and say, oh, that's a hold, that's a takedown flag. And then the guy's making the catch on the other side. So from a learning standpoint, from a perspective of deep wings, I myself, when I was first working as a deep wing, would throw my flag on this and be like, oh yeah, that's holding. But you got to see where the ball is when it happens. And at this point where it happens, the ball's probably halfway there already. And so this is we were graded as a correct no call in this one. So again, timing is key as we look at these plays. And we talk about who sees it, when are you transitioning as your deep wings away from those different places. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good pass there.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, you got your next one?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an OPI play that we missed a couple weeks ago, and I think it has to do a little bit with the new keys for the trips with a tight end. We have a foul. We do get a foul on this play because you watch the guys at the top decide that they don't really know where they're supposed to be lining up. And then somebody just decides to go in motion. So right here, we get into trips with the tight end. And if you go down, last year, we would agree that the tight end is the back judge's guy. It's number 3, right? Well, now we flipped this. And so S should be on the motion guy because he's he's the widest guy at the snap. The tight end's on the slot back, and then the H should be on the tight end. Watch tight end on this play. So we get, like I said, we get the shift. So this turns out to not be a big deal, but you can pretty clearly see on the crossing route for the tight end, he just finds a guy and wipes him out. So this is really about making sure we're aware of what the keys are, where we should be responsible with the change that primarily affects back judge in the deep or in the line scrimmage guys when we deal with trips.
I guess the other question I have on this play, Nick, is did targeting come into anyone's mind when they saw this? Because he lowers pretty good.
Well, first of all, we didn't see it on the field. So I'm going to redirect that question to the guy who makes that decision. Mr. Conrad.
Yeah, this is Matt. I was the RO in that game. Unfortunately, we did not see the hit, but in hindsight, after the fact, we deem it not to be targeting. The head does turn at the very last minute of impact, and he's coming in with the left shoulder. You can see it good on the replay that comes through, but unfortunately, we got tied up and trying to help out the crew where number 44 came from, and it took me out of my rhythm, and I did not follow through the play to look at the hit. But it's one that we learned from.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about this, if you're the line judge here, you got your backs in here blocking, so your attention's in this area helping out with the tackle. You turn up field late, you're like, okay, this pass is caught beyond, and then this guy's on the ground, and you don't really know why, right? Because we don't have a really good sense of why. The only other official I think that might have had a shot at this whole contact is potentially the field judge, because it's his guy that gets sprung by this pick, right?
I would absolutely put that on the field judge, Nick. As a former deep wing, you're looking for action. You see that crossing route, that's got to get your attention. So as you're looking at your progressions and as you're talking about as a line of scrimmage, I think this is one that the field judge can and should, because there's nothing else to watch for them.
Sure.
And the only reason I bring up the targeting piece too, because it's a big enough hit that as Shaw and Blandino say that's enough smoke because it's a big hit and he goes down and is going. So maybe take a look at it. I agree. I think it's the end zone view that gives you the best look is he turns sideways there at the last second. From a is it targeting, is it not perspective. But this is a great play when it comes to transitions and who's looking where and when. I think
Yeah, I think as a line of scrimmage guy, we have to be aware of number 3 to make sure he doesn't cut up field early on the motion. But once that ball snap, we got to go right back to the tight end if we're on that side of the field for that.
Hey, Nick, would you count those two, the tight end and the guy right behind him, 34? Do you consider that a bunch and go from there?
I mean, I suppose you could, but even so, if I'm the line of scrimmage guy, I would take the guy running across the middle of the field. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
But you said someone got screwed up on keys, so that's what that as a former back judge, I would have flipped a 34 even in the old mechanics
Sure.
because he's running a deeper route.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. I don't know. Stouty, you on there?
Yes, as soon as I find the button. I don't think we're going to bunch this, in my opinion. I'm the back judge on this game. If they're stacked, then we let them declare. But with the new mechanic for this year, they really want the line of scrimmage guy to go with the traditional tight end.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. And I agree, even in the old system where I as the 8 or I as the line of scrimmage guy would be on 34. I would have switched. I think we would have switched here too. Wouldn't you say, Paul? Even last year we would have switched on this.
I think last year I would have stayed with 44, not 34, the tight end. I would have stayed with the tight end because he does go out for a potential pass route.
That's a good point. But it is, in any case, this is a good example of what happens if we're not all on the same page with our keys, right? So, all right, you got another one there, Brian?
Yep, I can. This one I think is going to be. I'd like to have a lot of discussion. Well, not a lot. This is going to be good discussion for me. I've had a couple of others look at it. I'd like to get a few different pieces from it. So this is to give you some context because I also think that's important as to do we throw a flag or do we not. This is the last play of the first half. The score is 28-0. The guys that are losing are on offense. So the action is going to be there on the right tackle. I've already yelled at him once for what he's about to do. Quarterback's going to scramble away and come back. So I'll roll it slowly so it doesn't jump as much. He snatches down the defender. Quarterback's running away. And then he comes back. It ends up being a end of play game, half's over. But from this piece, it's a little bit, my questions are, who might see this on the initial snatch down? Is it just me as the referee? I might argue here there's something for the, in this case, line judge's first half for him to watch. When are we moving? Where are we going? So for you line of scrimmage people in this play, when do you get off of your tackle? What might you do in this place? You have trips on the other side, your back is staying there in the middle. As a line of scrimmage person, what are you doing in this moment?
I'd be on that tackle because my back's not doing anything. So I would be looking there. Now the snatch down that occurs initially, if the quarterback keeps rolling away, I would leave alone. But as soon as he cuts back, I think we can get a late flag on that for a hold.
And then he keeps laying on him, which is also part of it.
Yeah.
So, and that was the comment too, from the grader. Was, he starts rolling away. I looked at it and I passed on it. And then when we came back, it crossed my mind, no harm, no foul in this case. Again, they're up 28-0. They end up winning 48-7. Did Northwest Missouri State. I think it's two good pieces to learn. One, I want to know from a line of scrimmage, when or might you look there? I think from a referee's side, I may have started to transition a little too early because I felt the quarterback running. And as we think about our center judge, one, he needs to get out of the way a little faster, not get run over. But that's, so as we go through our progressions and who's doing what, I think that's another piece too. When are you moving? When are you going to places? And when might you get to a foul on this? Just a thought.
Yeah, I just think you got to stick there if you're a line of scrimmage guy, and then just be aware of it, and then kind of leave it hanging until you need it later, like your grader said.
Yeah.
You want to throw Billy Willis on as a co-host? Billy, you can share a couple.
Sure.
Sounds good.
If you're a COC person who has a play you want to share, just put it in the chat and I can pull it up for you.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
We're good.
The beautiful gray and purple field here. All right, so this play, I'm center judge, quarterback rolls out. I'd like to opinions on the left tackle.
Last week
I don't know
against
how
the
to read it.
Blitz, Smith.
Rewind, show that again.
You got an end zone view on that?
Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't know. I don't know that I see a grab there, or at least not one that I would consider a big enough one. I mean, he seems to get the guy off balance and then just push him down to the ground.
Yeah, it seems like there's a kind of a separation and and then he kind of he reblocks him, and I didn't see a grab there either, really.
I agree. I passed on this. I also got distracted by my quarterback was a pretty active quarterback. When he crossed my face, so I knew he was going to go. And my distraction or my concentration was broken for that second of release, and then all of a sudden I pick it back up and they're on the ground, and I had the oh crap moment of what exactly happened. But I am glad I passed on this still, but we'll see what the boss says. I'm still waiting on the grade, so we'll see.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right. But if there's anyone with center judge experience that wants to share how to stay with that tackle longer when you have a mobile quarterback like that, I'd be open to listening. If there's anyone with experience, or even referees, I guess, if you flip it.
I also think too, though, from this particular play with two guys in the backfield, your line of scrimmage guy should be at least with your tackle for a little bit until your back gives him something to do.
Yeah, he said he saw part of it, but didn't see the whole thing either. but we both wrote it on our cards and we're talking about it after the game, so. But we'll see. All right, let me flip to the next one here. Nope, wrong. All right, this one, not my crew, not my game, but this is, I think, a great discussion point for short wings, deep wings, to have a little conversation and understanding of what you're doing. So as you can see, we're snapping from the, what's that, 16-yard line. The play is going to come down to the bottom of the screen, and we'll kind of go from there.
Treat Weeks. Weeks is in the slot. Favorite target of Cheat. Can't find anybody. Throws out and then finds him. Darty inside the 5. Where are they going to spot him? Pushed out at the 3. Darty with a huge catch, and it's 1st and goal for Elon. Joshua Johnson made the touchdown saving tackle. Here comes Elon. They're going to
Too far. Hold on, let me mute this. Here we go. So I'm not concerned as much about what the player did, but we'll go back to the original view here, just watching the short and the deep wing and the lack of communication. You can see the L's putting out his hands like, what's going on? What do we have? So as a short wing, what are you looking for on this play? What communication do you need? Anyone?
Sorry, Billy, I had my head turned to try to kick a play up. What was in reference to what?
So in reference to your deep wing, what are you looking for? Did you see the play? Do you want me to play it again?
You just run it again. I saw the thing that looked like a potential OPI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that the line judge is going to see that potential blocking downfield action. But the line judge should certainly be able to provide the field judge with information that the pass was beyond the line of scrimmage, if he asks.
Yeah, I'm more concerned, I guess, at the sideline. You know, we're at the 2 or near the 2. Rewind here. So I guess that's where my mind is going. Is where is he out of bounds? Who's making this ruling?
Yeah.
Right,
So for me, if I see the guy step out of bounds, you know, it's tough. This play is a little easier than some because there's no reasonable way to assume that guy got the ball inside or over the pylon based on the way he gets knocked out of bounds. But I would just be, if I have him out of bounds, I'm coming charging down the line, stopping the clock, blowing my whistle so that the field judge knows that I've got information. And even if I come to him and say, hey, he stepped out at the 2, where was the ball? Because he can always ring the touchdown up later.
Right. So apparently in this situation, the field judge was yelling he was stepped out at the 4. And the line judge, and I think that's when the line judge puts his hands out and says, no, he didn't. So what's going on here? And the field judge, in my opinion, just from a deep wing perspective, completely disappears on this play. And, you know, yeah, there's some dead ball action, but he looks like he's not ready to make a ruling on anything when the line judge is looking for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I would think as a deep wing at minimum, what I would, as a field judge, so if for any young ones that watch this, if you know it's not a touchdown, at the very least kill the clock. Some of this is some preferences between short wing and deep wing. Nick, I don't know what conversations you've had with your deep wing as to how you deal with that 2 yards and in. A lot of times it depends, I guess, but a lot of times for me and my short wing, when we did it a couple of years ago, it's mostly yours. I know I technically have the spot until from the 2 and in, but you all are used to making a sideline call by comparison.
Mhm.
And so once I know it's out, like I know I don't have a touchdown and I'm killing the clock, then you and I can have it. I was like, I know he's short, and you can say he's out, and you'll be killing the clock too. And like, and then it's where's the ball position in relation to that. And it looks to me like we missed this spot by 2 yards. Like it was probably at the 2. I don't know, but at the very least, I would expect deep wing, you're killing the clock and having a conversation.
Yeah, I think that would be a better way to handle that, was just to get together and have a talk about, especially if there's a disagreement, because I think he's at the 2 and you think he's at the 4. Because if that's the case, the only way I would go with you on that is if I could not see the guy at the 4-yard line because the defender was in the way. If I'm looking right down the line, I can probably see that the guy was either in or out at the 4, and that's where I'd put him.
Yeah, so I agree. Stopping the clock needs to be the first thing the field judge should do, because we know it's a first down. We know he's out of bounds. And if you don't have touchdown, then, we're killing the clock, and then we can figure out the spot. So I'm with you guys. And I think you should be having that communication with your partners on the 2, and what you're going to do in these situations, because it's weird that 98 yards, we're not ruling anything. And then the 2 most important yards were there to make that bang bang call. But, I get why, but yeah, need something to do back there. But yeah, that communication, I just think, is a real important piece. And while it's important to turn and go with players out of bounds, it's also, as soon as you can clear them, to make sure that you're having a conversation with your short wing. And I think even a back judge might be able to say, hey, this is a tight sideline play. I'm going to get over there, kind of help with players a little bit, so those 2 can figure out what's going on. You got to be careful with that, but there's an opportunity there. So just stuff to think about. I thought was a pretty good discussion play to make sure you're talking and thinking those through. But, I agree that we probably missed this spot by 2 yards at least, because he's out of bounds right there. And where the ball is in relation, obviously we don't have that look, but it's not the 4.
You didn't have pylon cam in this game?
No, something was wrong with the wiring, I think.
Fair enough. All right. Thanks, Billy. Brian, if you want to make Richard Chadwell a co-host while you're getting him set up, Mr. Flanagan and Dr. Pistone, I have a play for you. You want to talk about?
There we go. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, both Amy and I were on this game Saturday. I'm sure, Amy, you know what play this is here. Before you started, Nick, let me just kind of set the stage here. We're in the second quarter, 7:09 to go. Obviously, it's a lopsided game, 31-0. Team on defense in white is winning. We did have an earlier targeting call on the team in white for a kickoff that was created by replay. Targeting, so one of their players were ejected. I mean, the team was up 31-0. They're a big, strong, physical team, and they just played physical football the whole game. They never let up. What we're going to have here is a targeting call on a pass receiver. We'll just let it play through, and I didn't really want to concentrate on the targeting play. This is something that jumped out as I was watching the film afterwards, but I want to concentrate on the crew mechanics of the play afterwards and knowing the volatility of the situation, how we could have handled this better. So let this play out. Quarterback scrambles,
Ooh.
throws over the middle. You see the hit there, and we had a
Ooh.
thunderstorm of flags coming down. We had 4 flags on the play, so everybody knows it's targeting here. But let's just kind of look at the discussion, look at the 6 officials, what we're doing, and kind of run through your mind the volatility of the situation. As you can see from overhead here, look what's going on with the 6 officials here, and look at. Tell me what's wrong with this here. I didn't realize this until I was looking at the film, but anybody see what potentially is wrong with that situation? Now, all the deep guys, I think it was the 3 deep officials and the line judge, Jamie, on the home team side, there were 4 flags on this for targeting, which we're taught to do a potential targeting call. I mean, it was there, 4 people saw it. They threw flags, but just with the discussion here, I think we really let the crew down. I know on myself, I did. It's a situation. I didn't have a flag on this, but it was something where we let the teams just kind of on their own there for a bit. I looking at this on the film, it really jumped out. So I just wanted to show this as a teachable moment here. Everybody mechanically who threw flags was sound on this. Yes, throw and then let replay decide on. I mean, you see all 4 flags just rain down here. It's a vicious hit. The helmet comes off. Ultimately, what was decided, we all knew the play was going to replay. So what the White Hat and I kind of talked about when I saw this, it just jumped out afterwards that I should have never been in the discussion there. What we should have done is, I should have gone to separate the teams, let everybody talk of what they had. Everybody knew it was targeting. Or the other thing we could have done was just send the teams to the sidelines and then have the discussion knowing that there were 4 flags down and that we couldn't cover the teams. That would be another way to handle that situation. Luckily, nothing happened here, but mechanically, as a crew, it's something to lock away for the future if something like this would happen. It's rare on a targeting call that you would have 4 flags on this. Now, this did go up to replay. Replay did overturn this because all the indicators weren't there. As vicious as the hit looked, it was deemed that he did get him with the shoulder. It was contact to the shoulder. So all the indicators of targeting weren't there and the play was overturned. As you can see at the bottom by the graphic there, the coach burned a timeout because he was just furious. And thankfully we had a 30-second timeout. So the referee had to blow the ready for play, 15 seconds, let the coach vent, and then we just went on and played football. But I just wanted to bring that up from that standpoint. Amy, anything else you would like to add on this play?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the conversation we were having, part of the conversation we were having was one of the throwing officials on that wanted UNR with targeting. And so I thought this is the first time I've ever thrown a flag for targeting. And the conversation I thought was interesting just in terms of he was insistent that it was UNR because it's unnecessary, which I mean, technically it is, but by the rule book, we ended up, I really didn't think we wanted a UNR on that. I don't think any of us, the rest of us thought it wasn't UNR because it was a football act. He was making a hit. If it's not contact to the head and neck area, then it's not UNR. So that was part of the conversation we had. And I will say the conversation was, it's absolutely going to get confirmed. Like somebody had said, it's 100% going to get confirmed. So we don't need to worry about having a personal foul to keep on if targeting gets taken off. So I just thought it was an interesting conversation because they did end up taking the targeting off, which none of us, I mean, we were all flabbergasted, but when you slow it down and you get the end zone look, it is to the shoulder. So yeah, it was just, I think there was a lot to it. And I didn't even think about that we were leaving both like players from both teams until, you mentioned it here. So I think it's a good play to learn from on a lot of different fronts.
I think
it just jumped out at me when I was looking at the film that, we were so intent on everybody grouped there. And, I didn't have a flag now. I should have left the conversation and gone back to recognize, I should have known the volatility of the situation, that it could have erupted into something bad. Thankfully, it did not. I mean, there were some words exchanged and stuff like that, but it never erupted how you would think. 22 players left unattended. God knows what could have happened, but thankfully they had enough enough class that they just, nothing happened with it. So, but yeah, just something to learn from in the future, and definitely lock that away for the next time. So just wanted to bring that up as a teachable moment there.
Yeah, I think
Thanks, everyone.
my looking at this, I agree, Amy. I don't think this is a UNR with targeting. This is a targeting call, because that guy's just trying to
Yeah.
separate the guy from the ball. So it's not like the ball was obviously not caught. I think
Right. I mean, there's
stick-
nothing, if it's not contact to the head or neck, then it's a perfectly legitimate football play, right? I mean, he's tackling a player. Like I think so it was, I mean, but I thought that it was a good conversation to have. But yeah, I think you're right. Like there's nothing that's not a football act about this, aside from the fact that it might be targeting.
I'm sure the coach really appreciated the fact that not only is this not targeting, but this guy who got blown up has to come out for a play if he's not
Mhm.
injured because his helmet's off.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no,
he was
liked
real
everything
thrilled.
about it. Everything just worked really great for him. He was a big fan of all of ours.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he got 35 seconds worth of his 30-second timeout to vent. So he was, he had a lot to say. He was not happy, as any coach would be. So we could certainly understand that. But I think here you can see from the end zone. I mean, it's kind of choppy even on the regular viewing, but the indicator wasn't there because he got him with the to the shoulder contact, and it wasn't head or neck contact, as bad as it looked.
Well,
So let me ask, so you're in a conversation here and next time you see, hey, this is a pretty big group of us. What's your step gonna be?
Me as an official who didn't have a flag down, my next step would be to get with players, or probably send them to the bench area, because we know it's going to be targeting, it's going to be reviewed. But I should not have been running to know what the conversation was. My step would be to just kind of separate the players and go from there, and let the 4 people who did have flags down talk with the referee. Everybody, I mean, I knew it was targeting when it was thrown. Like it looked like a thunderstorm of flags coming down. I mean, 4 people saw it right there. You can see at least now 2 arm motions going with flags right there for it. But yeah, that would be my next step. And it was something I didn't realize when it happened during the game, but watching it on film the next day, and the situation evolved, and based on everything I said beforehand, I should have locked that in and been more responsive to the potential escalating situation with the teams.
Right. So Amy, what would you do in that situation, given you had a flag?
I mean, so I would say on a lot of plays as back judge, like I am keeping an eye on the players or getting them away from the people who are talking, just because I'm not down on as many fouls as people closer to the line of scrimmage. And so, I mean, that's something that I think, if I slowed down and thought through it and been like, because normally I'm pretty cognizant of, oh man, there's 4 officials all together. I should go separate the players, make sure they're not left to mingle by themselves. And so, I mean, I think that's a situation where I could have, we could have hopped on the O2O. Any of us could have hopped on the O2O and said, hey, let's make sure we separate the players. Should we send them to our benches? But I think if anyone had thought about it at the time, and I mean, it's great that there were no real consequences. We got to learn this lesson without a fight breaking out. But I think, next time that this happens, I think anybody who has that thought can ask the question of the crew, like somebody who's not down on this, make sure the players are separated, make sure they're to their bench, whatever it is. But I think it didn't occur to anybody at the time because we had this big, ugly hit. And I think especially everybody who threw on it was very ramped up to 11, just like, okay, we got targeting, we got a number, we got a this, we got a that. And I think it's a good play to know next time, make sure that if we have that many officials in one conversation, that we got to make sure somebody else is keeping an eye on the players.
Right. Yeah, we had a situation similar, but we had 2 unsporting acts going on at different sides of the pile at the end of the game. And so we ended up with 6 flags on the ground. And fortunately, we did have the awareness to say, hey, hold on a second. Let's deal with this side of the issue first. If you're not in, get with the players. And then we brought in the other side so we can get all the UNSs down and all that stuff. But yeah, fortunately, nothing did happen here. And like I said, it is a great learning play. Did you guys have 2 number 4s on the kicking team for Indiana State at all by chance?
No, we were, it's funny you say that. We did talk about that Friday in pregame because I guess the week before they did have 2 on their
Yep.
punt return team. But
You're-
yeah, we were aware of that.
you're-
We didn't see that. So
You're
I
welcome.
take it you were on the crew the week before that had that. So thanks for tipping us off. We appreciate it.
Yes, that was me.
Okay.
We were in line with the SEC that weekend of 2 number 4s on punt returns. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, it did come into our discussion Friday night. We were aware of that because
Good.
it did happen. So thank you for that. So hopefully you guys can learn from this here. If hopefully you don't have a situation like that
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, we had a similar situation with a punt return play. You can go ahead and share your screen, Richard. The punt return play, my first year in the MAC, where 7 of us had flags down because somebody pulled somebody's helmet off, and that guy continued to play. Then somebody hit that guy, so it was a little much. We had to get guys out of that situation. All right, you're up.
Okay, so this is from my conference. It's not my game, but I was at this game and was taking notes. And this was a pretty unique play. So this is an extra point. This is an extra point for a touchdown after a defensive touchdown. It was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. This arrow is pointing to the person who is normally the holder and the punter for Fayetteville State. So they've kind of got them everywhere. They're lined up in the swinging gate, water bucket, whatever you call it. So another interesting thing about this is they do have 5 50 through 79 because it's not a scrimmage kick formation because they don't have a holder. So it's not a scrimmage kick formation. But just watch the play, watch what this guy does, watch what they do. The R, when we talked after the game, and he felt like he should have held the substitution longer. Again, it's hard to tell because this is when the play starts, but I think this is pretty rapidly after the touchdown. So they've kind of run the extra point team on, and if you can 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there are 12 players on blue on this right now. So just watch the play, and then I'd love some feedback on this because we've kind of gotten answers all over the place with it. So if everybody saw that, it did go for a 2-point conversion. He does kind of hide out on the sideline, but then he comes in. My feeling was that it was deception because of the action of who was it? This player running off the field. You know, so they've got 12 on the field. He kind of runs off, number 5 here kind of runs off to kind of distract them. And then 90 kind of moves in and nobody's really paying attention to 90, though he does get inside the numbers. My feeling was this was deception by substitution and should have been a Team UNS, but some people have said it should have been illegal substitution. What is everybody's thoughts on this play?
Sorry, I was muted there. I think, he does get inside the numbers, so I think that part of it's fine. If I were the referee here, it's likely that we had, I know, like you said, we don't really see this whole thing because we only catch it from here. But it seems pretty likely that they had 12 guys on the field for more than 3 seconds.
Yeah, I would venture, I would probably say that as well.
So I would want that, in order of things we would probably want here, that would be the first.
Yeah.
And then when this guy goes running off, if I were the referee, I'd probably put the gates back up.
Yeah. To let them match up with 90 over here, because when he comes inside the numbers, I think that's gonna allow them. Let's see. I'm seeing when he gets inside the numbers. Yeah, they snap it within like a second or two. So if we hold it for another 3 seconds, maybe they figure out that guy's out there.
Well, you can see right before the snap, the second guy in on the right side of the defensive formation is tapping his guy to get the guy out there.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you need to go get that guy. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think, so 3 seconds they probably do. I think that's what at the end of that's what the referee said he should have done. He should have held the gate out longer. And I concurred with that.
One thing that jumps out, I'm sorry to interrupt, but one thing that jumps out to me on this here, talking about the gates being held up a little bit longer, did the referee or anybody, did he recognize that all the officials weren't in position? It looks to me, because with a swinging gate formation, I know that me as an umpire, I'm always over the ball, but the side judge should really be with the pack over to the left. I mean, was there any consideration or talk with the referee to even wait until his crew was in position? It looks like the side judge is still kind of moving. He's not sure. I'm getting the opinion the side judge is not really sure where to go on this this particular play here. So had the referee held the gates up or talk about that in pregame, that might have given the defense a little bit more time. But at no time do I see a signal between the referee or the umpire of 11 out there at all, or any hands up or anything like that, a confirmation of the count. I don't see that at all. Maybe I'm just missing it.
No, and I don't either, because clearly once 5 runs off, now they've got 11. So I would assume if they had counted before that, they probably would have been reaching for flags. And then when he runs off, then either signal 11. But you're right, yeah, they should have had a count. And swinging gate formations, I feel like, are always hectic. Like they put you, they don't make you at ease, because so much they can do so many things out of this. They can snap it to this up back and have him run around. You're trying to figure out, okay, they don't have a holder, it's not a scrimmage kick. Do they have 5 guys 50 through 79? It's a lot of moving parts.
To consider. Yeah. I mean, it does help in the pregame. I mean, as an umpire, you could always check with the special teams coach and make sure the numbers on the field goal formation. I always go with, if they have 5 or more, that's fine. If they have less, then this play would have been illegal if they had less than 5 out there. But yeah, you have to recognize that, and you have to communicate that with your side judge as well, because if he's over with the pack, it's hectic to know if there are 5 or there's less than 5 or what on there. But yeah, from a mechanic standpoint, you could kind of get on the O2Os also. The umpire could tell the referee, we're not in a scrimmage kick formation, let's make sure everything's legal. Or it was like I say, the swinging gate presents a lot of problems on its own, but mechanically, if we're in the right spots pre-snap and we wait for that, it lessens the impact of something like this happening.
Also, the other thing that makes this even more difficult, and I do agree that the side judge is probably a little bit confused, and I don't think Fayetteville State had ran the swinging gate before this, so it wasn't something. This is their first touchdown of the game, so, but I don't think the game before they had run the swinging gate at all. So this wasn't something that you could have seen and talked about. Hey, they run the swinging gate. The other thing that makes it difficult, that always makes it difficult, is they run the swinging gate on the opposite side of the side judge. So the side judge has got to come all the way off the home sideline and run all the way over to the gate. So yeah, lots of moving parts with this, that can make it difficult. I did so. Thanks for that. I think that helped out a lot.
That's a great play.
Yeah. So, this play is
Unabated to the quarterback. Unabated to the quarterback.
Yes, unabated to the quarterback, which is called, and the whistles are blowing before this happens. So he's about to cause a problem.
Ooh.
So that gets a flag. And then 50 pushes him. And then the film cut off, so nothing happened after that at all.
Sure, I'm sure not.
Yep. We didn't have a fight between two players, and I think they ended up with 4 unsportsmanlikes on this play. So what happened was, obviously he tackles him like that. That's a UNS, clearly after the whistle's blown. I actually don't think they got 50 for a foul in this, though they should have. He doesn't help out the situation. And look, there's a lot after this. They try and get it down, and then 2 guys get into a fight. And again, this was another thing where I wish they would have again kept it on, but they had 3 or 4 guys. We had a lot of officials there. They did separate the teams when they could, and got them out of it. But my feeling, so 8 got unsportsmanlike for that hit. 50 got, or another player for Fayetteville State got an unsportsmanlike, and then the 2 guys fighting got an unsportsmanlike. So a lot going on. Also, it's 3rd and 3, which kind of, as a penalty enforcement thing, makes it important, because we had the defensive offsides, so that gets enforced. And then even though we had an uneven number of unsportsmanlikes, they're all in the same timing, and so they all offset. But it did give Virginia State a first down, because they marked off the offsides, and then everything else after that offset. So that was something that was kudos to the crew, because that could have, you could have in the heat of the moment thought about it and then thought about offsetting everything. But and I was looking in the rule to make sure that they got that right, and I felt they got that right, and they did, because it just talks about order of occurrence, and then personal fouls on unsportsmanlikes getting marked off. And the coaches, to their credit, did a good job of keeping their guys on the sideline. But it is these are the type of plays that nobody likes to see, and nobody likes to have options for them. There's no real way to stop that guy from doing that, because they're blowing the whistle the whole time. But it is, and that game was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of back and forth in that game, but all it takes is something like this, and it sets it off. So does anybody have any thoughts on this play? Anything that could, I know it's only a brief bit of it.
No, I mean,
My thought on it, and again, this was me having hindsight on it, 2020 vision, is I would have we only had 2 ejections for the 2 guys we're fighting. Is I would have ejected 8 for this, just called it flagrant and been done with it, and ejected the 2 guys for fighting. And then I think because of the amount of players, even though it wasn't everyone, I would have just given everyone a UNS on the field. I think that would have been a great time to utilize that little tool in our toolbox. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I certainly think you'd probably get supported for dumping the guy for this.
Yeah.
I don't know about the giving everybody on the field and sports alike, but obviously I didn't see anything after this, so I don't have a lot for you.
Yeah. It's pretty much contained to everyone on the field, but everyone on the field is involved in something on it. So yeah. Okay. And then I had this is the end zone view of this guy. I loved the look. What me? After he threw him down to the ground. So this is going to be a target. This is a targeting foul that was called on the field, and while we don't have replay in the CIAA, we do have we can view targeting at halftime and overturn or confirm it. And this was called targeting on the field and was overturned and at halftime. And I kind of agree with both. So just watch the play. I think this is a little missed block in the back, kind of at the point of attack. But this guy's going to come in. He definitely leads with the helmet and crouches, but it seems like he just misses him. But just take a look at it. So, and here's the end zone view of it. And this end zone view, I think kind of leads to why the targeting may have been called. Now he goes over the top of him and misses him, but he also has his arm kind of catch like the back of his helmet to make it look like there was contact there. So, and I think that kind of fooled the line judge. Our philosophy on targeting is we typically like to have a second person come in and say, yeah, I agree, that was targeting, even if he doesn't have a flag. And we didn't have that here, but no one didn't think that, he wasn't right to call target on this, even though it was overturned. Anybody have any thoughts on this play?
So is he calling this a crown of the helmet targeting?
Yes, he is.
Right. That's the only thing you could have here because he's a runner. He's not in terms of process, he's not a defenseless player. Everybody agrees he's a runner right here. So it can only be 913 crown of the helmet contact, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
But I agree with that too. And you can see lowers his head, leads with it, and just misses, but he does get his arm does kind of catch the receiver at the number and then kind of pull his head. It makes it look worse on the field. And of course, this is the replay. This is watching it on video, so I can only imagine what it was at live speed. But yeah, so this is a 9-1-3.
And so I assume it was overturned because the referee and the person viewing it, they did not deem it crown of the helmet contact, correct? That
Yeah,
it
they
was a
well,
swing
they
and a
deemed
miss,
that
right?
he just
swing
missed
and
it.
a
Yep,
miss?
yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the right way to, I mean, it happens so fast out
Yeah,
there that it's fortunate in this case that it was it was the first half you had a review. That's
Yep.
why it was put in for it like that there. But yeah, it's they're tough like that here. But yeah, as long as you go through the indicators and the process, like we talked about, he's a runner. He's not a defenseless player, so you can only have crown. It's unfortunate. I'm not sure what point it was in the first half.
So
what
it
he missed here.
was like 5:28. I think the guy missed like 4 plays. I think they punt and then the team takes the drive. So in the grand scheme of things, probably exactly what we want, at a really at kind of the best time for it. But yeah, I think he missed like a series or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's
so-
the process you got to use on it here,
Yeah.
whether you're calling it on the field or in the booth. Just eliminate the factors. He's a runner. It's got to be crown. If the crown's not there,
Mhm.
then we don't have targeting. He could remain in the game. I'm sure the opposite coach wasn't too happy about it, but that's by rule, that's what you have to do. So
Yep.
yeah, I'd agree with your assessment. That's correct.
Mhm. Okay.
Thanks, Richard.
No problem.
Appreciate it. I hope everybody felt like they got some out of tonight. I know it's about a little close to 8:40 in the East, so I'm going to call it a night for us. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope we can do this again in a couple of weeks. I'll keep an eye out for an email. But thanks everybody who wanted to share. Hopefully in the future, be more people who want to share plays, and we can go from there. But I appreciate everybody being on tonight. Enjoy your weekends. Good luck this weekend if you're working, and hopefully we will see you all here soon with another one. So thanks everybody.